You can't be afraid to fail. You have to understand that failure is a part of success. You can ask any successful person in this world and they will tell you that failure is a part of the process. Failure is where we grow. That's where we gain our strengths. We grow from our struggles. We learn from our mistakes. We gain wisdom from our failures. That's where we grow. We grow more from our failures than we ever do from our accomplishments. You have to accept the fact that you are going to fail from time to time, and that's okay. Just don't be afraid to fail. The only thing that matters is that you learn from your failures, that you get back up every time you fall. Make the proper adjustments and just keep moving forward. Don't quit, because the only time that you really do fail is when you give up.
You have to lose your fear of failure. Failure is a part of the process. People who never fail, never try. You have to fail. You got to get it wrong to get it right. You learn nothing from winning. You only learn from your failures.
Success is not measured on the days when the sun shines. Success is measured on the dark, stormy, cloudy days. And if you can't absorb failure, you're never going to meet success. There's going to be bad days, there's going to be dark days, but you got to embrace it because that pain is what makes you stronger.
Don't you give up on your dream. I don't care if you don't have the money, you don't have the help, and you don't have the family for it, and you don't have the background for it, and you don't have the friends for it. Don't you give up on your dream. Don't you do it. It may take you twice as long. You may have to take courses and classes. You may not read as fast. You might not move as quick. You might not have as much. But don't you quit. Don't you quit. You do make a difference. As weak as you are, as tired as you are, as many mistakes as you made, you do make a difference. There is something they would lose if you were not there. There was something that they would miss if you were not there. You do make a difference.
Everybody has a turn back moment. You have a moment where you can go forward or you can give up. But the thing you have to keep in mind before you give up is that if you give up, the guarantee is it will never happen. That's the guarantee of quitting, that it will never happen, no way under the sun. The only way the possibility remains that it can happen is if you never give up, no matter what.
The world ain't all sunshine and rainbows. It's a very mean and nasty place, and I don't care how tough you are, it will beat you to your knees and keep you there permanently if you let it. You, me, or nobody is gonna hit as hard as life. But it ain't about how hard you hit. It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward. That's how winning is done. Now, if you know what you're worth, then go out and get what you're worth. But you gotta be willing to take the hits and not pointing fingers saying you ain't where you wanna be because of him or her or anybody. Cowards do that, and that ain't you. You're better than that.
But I don't negotiate with my mind. I run this in my heart and soul. I don't let the brain run. I use my brain. I don't let my brain use me. The easiest way to deal with fear of failure is to be more fearful of not taking action, to be more fearful of settling for a life that is far below what you deserve and what you desire. Everybody has a place where they get fearful. It's just the human mind, it's there. It's not that you're not going to be fearful. I think what it really is just, again, training yourself to say, I can be fearful and I can do it anyway. I don't have to get rid of the fear. I just have to dance with it. I have to use the energy of it to move myself forward. And I found in the early days, I used to, like, when I was trying to make a decision, I would do what I called my rocking chair test. I took a helicopter ride one time. We're flying straight across all the people, bumper to bumper, no stop. This is the way to live. What would it take to, learn how to fly a helicopter? Money, time, energy. Where am I going to fit all this in? What would life be like? I'm 85 years old. I'm in my rocking chair, and I flew helicopters, and I took my friends and family and took the doors off, and we screamed down on the water, and we lived this life where you could go wherever you want the way you want. And I'm like, wow. I looked at what that life would be, felt incredible. And what if you never learn? What if you come up with all these fears? I don't have time, I don't have the money, I don't know if I can do it, I don't know if I can master it. And you let the fears dominate me, and I never learned to fly a helicopter, and I'm 85 in my rocking chair. And I look back on my life and I missed out on all that. But the fastest way to deal with fear is do it anyway. You don't have to feel good to do stuff. That's an illusion. Make yourself do it. What I've trained my brain is when I say do it, we do it. Doesn't matter if it feels good. Doesn't matter if it's too cold. Doesn't matter if I don't feel it. Doesn't matter if I'm fearful. I do it anyway. And when you train yourself to do it anyway, you have a freedom most people will never have.
No fear. What's your greatest fear? Fear is a part of life. It's a constant. Just like the air you breathe or the beat of your heart, it's always going to be there. Like a big shadow following you around every time you want to try something new. Start a new job, meet new people, it's going to be there. Whispering in your ear, lying to you about what might happen if you do this new thing. The question is, are you going to let it control you, or are you going to control it? Because let me tell you, if you don't keep fear in check, it will consume you. It will slowly but surely start breaking you down piece by piece, stripping away everything that's good inside you. All the imagination, all the adventure, spontaneity, all the stuff that was inside you as a kid will be buried in the shadow of fear. Don't let it. Face your fear. Whatever it is that you want to do right now in your life, but you've been sitting on the fence waiting, doubting yourself because you are letting fear control you, just do it. Don't let the fear of failing or f***ing up stop you from being who you want to be, doing what you want to do, seeing what you want to see. Just do it, man. You ain't going to be nowhere until you start taking the first step. Fear is always going to be there. Remember, you can fail in life at something you hate, so you might as well try to do something you love. It ain't going to be easy. Facing your fears ain't going to be a walk in the park, let me tell you. But the greatest fear always lives right at the point before action. At the very edge of your comfort zone is the most terrifying place to be. So it's insane that most people fear that first step so much that they stay in the place where fear actually exists the most. If only they knew that as soon as they take that first step, they'd be moving away from fear and not actually towards it like they thought. Champions are made in these moments. Give yourself the power, and the more you face your fears, the more powerful you become. The more times you challenge yourself, the more times you venture into the unknown, the more times you push through the fear, the stronger you become, and the more fear starts fearing you. You're a force to be reckoned with. How are you going to let fear control your life? You're stronger than that. Come on. You've got everything you need inside you to achieve anything. And you're going to let fear dictate what you do? You face your fears, you become the person you want to be. You run from your fears, you ain't living. You're alive, but you ain't living. You start facing it. You'll start asking yourselves questions. What was I scared of? What else can I do? What else am I capable of? What else can I overcome? And if you fail the first time, you get back up and you go again. You're unstoppable. If you don't do it the first time, at least you try. And I tried is a lot better than what if. Because what if has nothing but regrets at the end of the day. And that is the only fear that you're allowed to fear, having regrets. It's hard. It's an uphill battle, but I know you can do it. I can do it. You can do it. So just do it.
In the Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual, the section Fear reads, how do you overcome fear of failure? Step. Go. But a previous entry reads, I don't want you to overcome fear of failure. I want you to be afraid of failure. Mind elaborating?
Yeah, clearly there's a dichotomy here. I know it's my favorite word, apparently, according to Dean Lister.
Yes, I agree.
There is a dichotomy here because fear is something good that you should take advantage of. So it's kind of good to be afraid because it keeps you on edge. It keeps you from slacking. It keeps you preparing as much as you possibly can, and all that stuff is good. But at the same time, yes, if you go too far to the other end of the spectrum, fear gets a hold of you. You can't overcome it, so you freeze or you cower or you run away, and none of those are good reactions. So what I obviously failed to communicate well in the book Discipline Equals Freedom Field Manual is the dichotomy between these spectrum of fear that you can have. So if you have no fear whatsoever, no fear. Well, guess what? You get cocky, you can get arrogant. If you have too much fear, you can't even get out of the gate. You just freeze. You hesitate. So, like all dichotomies, you got to balance those two. And the way you balance those two is to try and do things that make you feel fear, right? Try and do things that make you feel fear. So that way you get used to it, you can overcome it, you can deal with it, you can utilize it. And if you have a fighter, you ever hear UFC fighters that are like, I'm afraid every time I get in the ring, right?
Yeah, pretty much everybody.
Yeah, pretty much everybody. I'm afraid because you're afraid you're going to get knocked out, you're afraid this, you're afraid that, afraid I'm going to lose in front of all my family and friends and all that. So everyone's afraid. So what does that fear do? It drives you to train harder. It drives you to prepare. It drives you to keep your hands up and your chin down when you're in the cage.
Right.
So, yeah, there's a healthy level of fear. It can also get the best of you. So keep it balanced.
Yeah, we talked about this, and I think Sam Harris talked about it first. For the first I heard it, made a point, not to go too deep into it, but where, you know, like this, okay, fear. How do you overcome fear? Step, go, right? It's essentially like take action, be brave in the face of fear, right? But if there's no fear, it's kind of like, you're not really being brave. You're not, kind of thing.
Well, that's true too.
Yeah, so consider that notion, right? So you say, I want you to be afraid of failure. Oh yeah, be afraid of failure, but you still got to step. You still got to go. Still got to be brave, kind of thing. So they do actually kind of complement each other, really. Unless you think like, oh yeah, overcome fear, meaning like I'm not scared of it anymore. It's literally not fear. It's always fear, but it's less about the fear being, reduced to zero. It's more about being brave, training yourself to be brave.
Embrace the
with
fear.
Yeah.
Embrace the fear. And so to continue with that thought, in order to embrace the fear, what do? You step. You go into it. So there you go. There's your answer.
Cool.